Okay, it's a very, very exciting day. I have been waiting on this bike for 11 months. We ordered this bike in December of 2023. It is now November 2024, and it is here. So this is the 3T Extrema Italia. I am so freaking excited.
And this is the Project X.
So this is the Project X, I guess, colorway.
Or no colorway.
There's no color on it. This is the carbon layup. Like you can just straight up see the carbon, which is super cool, especially since I think it's even cooler now that we learned a little bit of history and background about why the carbon looks the way it does. This bike is made in Italy, which is super cool. So they do the whole layup process. Yeah, literally says made in Italy.
It also shipped from Italy and then got to Cincinnati Customs and then
went back to Italy.
And then went back to Italy.
And then now it's here. So yeah, the frame in general, carbon layup, all of that happens in Italy, which super cool. We got to have a meeting with our rep Josh and Andrea, who's the 3T product manager in Italy. Super cool. Learned a lot, got me extra excited about the bike. So just, I guess, a few little facts, tidbits that we learned from that. They try to be super sustainable with their carbon layup process. Like they only cut exactly what they need for each bike, each frame, which is always cool. Love that. And then beyond that, we've never had just like a raw carbon bike that has like this level of kind of like texture, colorway to it. And basically what we learned, it looks this way on purpose. Like 3T did a ton of R&D on how to layer the carbon and like what angles to have fibers or whatever overlap, just up for different points of stiffness or vice versa. So I just thought that was cool. It's got a cool look.
Isn't it one continuous strand from the front to the back? That was like the thing I remember from that meeting the most. Right there, like that strand like goes all the way to the end of the bike.
Either way, it's super cool. The bike looks sick. This is not the color I ordered at all.
You were gonna get a painted one, but I think this is like probably cooler.
I had a painted frame on order. We got a call and they were like, there was a paint problem. Do you want to switch? And at that point I was like, I just want a bike. I need a bike. I don't have a gravel bike right now. So we went with Project X. I was nervous. I had my whole vision board for the painted bike planned out, but I'm so excited. This looks sick.
I think it ended up being the cooler option, although the paint ones are cool too. Like, I just feel like this is gonna be cooler for longer.
I 100% agree. I'm so excited.
This was a complete. For context, I've already prepped it for the video.
I ordered a frame originally, and then it ended up with how the world worked. Quicker for me to just get this complete project with the Project X, all that. So Jesse already took it apart, prepped it for the build. We're changing a few things.
Not the wheels though.
Yeah, so got these thick boy wheels. It's the 4540, so 3T Discus 4540 wheel set. It has a 45 millimeter depth and then a 40 millimeter external rim width.
The internal,
the numbers.
The internal is 29, which is awesome.
3T says you can put up to 57, so that's basically 2.25 tires on this bike. I put 2.35s. Aesthetically, I had to have tan walls. So originally I decided I needed the Maxxis Aspen ST. I just really liked the tread pattern. We sold out and could not replace them.
Well, we actually have a huge shipment coming, but they're still delayed.
So I needed to pivot. And then decided, like, once I started opening my world to other tire options, decided I had to go tan wall. And so Jesse had these Thunderbolts, and then the other option,
this is
we
what
got
I
a
might.
Rick.
I want to run Ricks as gravel tires. I think that would be sweet. But
there's a little different tread pattern there. I might change it to the Ricks.
Those Ricks did fit on the bike.
Yeah, they fit super well.
Yeah.
This Thunderbird, it is a little close. I don't think it's going to rub though.
It's a 235 that I measured with a caliper to 60. I personally think that there is enough room. We're like 3 millimeters over manufacturer spec with this tire, which is not unreasonable in my view.
There's obviously not a lot of mud clearance here, but like if I know I'm going to be in a muddy situation, we'll just change the tire out.
I think that's plenty of room.
Yeah, and this bike did come stock with Continental Race Kings
in 2.0.
2.0.
Which is a very popular tire that I haven't really tried out. But
yeah, I'll just put these in a drawer. We'll try them at some point, but with this build, I just really wanted to do tan walls.
It looks like it should.
Yeah, like tan. It's the way to go.
This is a SRAM Red group that we're going to put on this bike.
Yeah, so the bike did not come with SRAM Red. We're adding that.
The parts that came with are on the other shelf.
So we'll start with the saddle.
That looks crazy.
I am going to try this. I'm a really big...
Oh, we're putting this back on the bike.
I wanted to try it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I took it off, but we can definitely, I mean, might as well try it. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the SRAM Power mirror.
Specialized.
Yeah, I know it's specialized. There's SRAM parts. It's those S brands, you know?
So this is a Selly.
Never tried one. So I figured I might as well.
I used to run Selly saddles. I thought they're really popular. This is Selly San Marco and 3D printed in carbon. I don't know a whole lot about this, but it definitely got a texture to it.
The texture is why I want to try it. Shape-wise, I'm just going to go ahead and say this probably will not work for me and my body, but it looks fun and I want to try something new. So.
I rode that saddle. Remember whenever I tested the Strata? That video might come out. There's a Strata first impression video that we're doing, and that saddle's on that Strata. Not the 3D printed one. I liked it. It definitely didn't bother me.
So this bike came stock, lightweight cage here.
It looks like a carbon side loader.
Yeah, nothing too exciting.
This is the
fun part. This is the Torno Wide.
This is if you guys remember the first Extrema video we did.
This is where we unboxed like 12 of these.
Yeah, this is chases that we unfortunately...
It's a 170.
It's a 170, or I think we would 100% be using it, right?
I would try it for sure. I think I am too short to try this.
Like, you've been running 165s for over 3 years now.
Forever.
I don't think that's really like...
Yeah, this won't work for me, but
I might try
so
this.
Cool. Jesse's for sure gonna take it.
I think this is beautiful. This is like one of the most beautiful things. It is super cool. So you might see this end up on one of my bikes. Basically like a SRAM crank, that bolt tightens it on, and it has like an interference fit on the spline. Super, super pretty looking.
This build came stock with force levers. It's the same force lever that I run on literally everything, except I'm switching to new red.
This is your first bike to have this too. You've been waiting to do it on this bike.
Yeah, I set aside a set of these levers for myself a couple months ago, and I've just been patiently waiting. I'm gonna try out the new SRAM Red levers. Figured might as well, it's a great time to try it. We ordered a Red Explorer 165 crank. So we'll throw that on there.
So yeah, I've already cut the steer tube, but we're gonna be running internal hoses, and I wanted to show off this 3T internal routing system that they've cooked up.
Well, and also I want you to show and talk about the stem and like cutting the steer tube.
Yeah, so
There's some fun tidbits with that.
I slammed it, but it's not.
It's
a
fully
little
slammed.
deceiving. So this is basically the steer tube is still like that tall underneath this stem.
Like we still have an extra inch that we can raise it.
Yeah, although I doubt you will. It's a fairly tall geometry on this bike. I can't remember the exact number, but it had the same stack height as your endurance road bike does, which makes sense. This is kind of, obviously, if it's like a huge mountain bike tire, this is definitely more of an endurance focused gravel bike.
Yeah, 3T describes this one as like their more adventure, like rough terrain type of gravel bike, whereas like they have the Race Max, which is more a mix of like tarmac, gravel, smoother gravel, faster, whereas the Extrema is more of the adventure.
This is the longest steer tube bolt in existence.
And you're just still going.
No, it's legit that long, and I'll show you why in a second. It makes sense once you see.
Dang, you're right. Longest in existence.
Yeah, and the reason is, so underneath here, here's the setup. So as you can tell, this piece contacts the top of this. Do you see how that works? Can you see that on camera?
Yep.
So as long as the steer tube is cut below that, you have proper preload. But what that also means is that we could raise it to like there and still, or I guess that would be too short. Probably something like a spacer or two. But we basically, even though we slammed it, I cut it as tall as possible so Chase can add a spacer to 2 spacers if she needs. I don't think she will, but this stem is internal, but it's external. So the hoses come out here, and then they are externally routed, so you can swap stems without cutting hoses, which is really cool. Actually, this whole bike, we're going to be using a handlebar that is the same way, so there's not really that much internally routed on this. If we wanted to change the stem or the bar, we could without cutting hoses. The stem preloads with that super long bolt, and then you tighten the plate in the back to tighten the system up. The reason the bolt's so long, can you see in there? It might be hard to see. The expansion plug is bonded into the steer tube. And again, I cut like a good amount off of this. And so that bolt needs to be that long in case you have max stack height on this bike to accommodate like all the spacers. I'm gonna pull it off now though, so we can get to the hose routing portion. So first thing I'm gonna do is I've already removed the lever from this. I'm gonna break it. Basically, these 3T Extremas and a lot of 3T bikes are, every 3T bike that I've worked on has direct mount 160 rotor size. So we'll pull the bracket off of both calipers, and then you use these extra long bolts. And I appreciate this, that these are super long, but they're the same front and back, which is, I think that had to have been intentional, but like from a mechanic standpoint, I just wanted to say like thank you for making those the same size, because those are oddball bolts. Like I don't have those bolts like laying around. They're definitely like bigger than average, and so just having them be the same like makes my life so much easier. And then this is not tubed all the way through the frame, but that's fine. Sweet. Set that bearing there. And then I'm gonna actually bolt this onto the frame.
I realized one part that we forgot to mention. This bike did come stock with a reverb dropper. So this will be the first time I've had a dropper post on a drop bar bike.
As long as it fits you, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
There's a special, do you see the sticker? They're warning you.
Oh boy.
We have to make sure that you're tall enough for it.
Warning, frame size 51, maximum safe insertion 179. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to decide if that will work or not, but we'll find out.
Yes, stay tuned, I guess, to see if I'm too short. That'd be so sad. This is the third Extrema Italia that we've had roll through the shop. If you check out our Instagram, you can see the other two custom builds that we've done. So if you want one, hit us up in the link in our bio. You can schedule with Jesse, Trey, Grace, or I. You can schedule a meeting with us to plan out your custom build, and we can get you on an Extrema or whatever bike you're interested in. While this frame took me 11 months to get, their turnaround's like 4 to 6 weeks at this point.
I thought it was 8 to 12.
We're gonna say 8 weeks then.
It's faster than...
It's a lot faster.
Yeah.
It's 8 weeks. So you won't be waiting 11 months. So like, don't let that deter you from getting this bike.
It's kind of a one-of-a-kind bike at the moment. Like, what other bike can do this? That's carbon. I don't really have one that I can think of. Please,
they're not out there.
Please be tubed. Okay, cool. I was stressed that this wasn't tubed, but it is.
I feel like tubing has been a big theme in some of our videos we've been filming lately.
Universally for tubing, like personally, I'm not a huge fan of tubing in down tubes, but in forks, like if it's not tubed, that's a nightmare. Get this bearing back in place. Yep, got it clocked right, and then so this is the rear, and then I always like to just kind of like massage that out because this hose is wrapped around the steer tube, so just kind of like want to give it some space. We'll get the top pieces reinstalled. The spacers on this bike are split, so like we can add spacers after the fact without undoing all of this. So like
That's super nice.
I think it's just like everybody who complains about internal cable routing, I think they're just grumps. Like it's so much cooler, and honestly, like the way that this bike is designed, like is very thoughtful. You know what I mean? Like it's not just slapped together for no reason. Like they were like, oh, what if you need to add spacers? You can very, very easily. So I just really appreciate that kind of design work. And all of 3T's Italian made bikes use this same kind of setup. So shout out to them for making it easier to work on. I think it's an underrated thing from 3T, which is not as common of a brand, obviously. So that's why, but like hopefully people watching this video can appreciate it. Other than this freaking bolt is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Use a smaller tool.
I'm sure if you ask them though, there is like a very, very specific reason.
Oh, I explained.
For that
I understand why.
Yeah.
It's like I've gone the opposite direction. I've made it. I could probably get a different bolt that was closer. It would work now, but it definitely needs.
You don't need to mess with it again.
Yeah.
So we're good. It's like a one and done for now.
This is like a minute-long clip. My hand is like getting carpal tunnel. No, I got it.
Okay, so I've got the outrageous, this red doodad tool came with the bike, and its purpose is to get the handlebar on and get all that. The bolts are behind the stem.
It's arrow.
Yeah, it's very aero, but it's kind of a pain. So you need this like ridiculous tool.
They send them out with every bike, so like, is it different and goofy? Yes, but is it like annoying? Not at all.
No, it works really well. I just feel really silly with this.
If you had to buy that tool, I would be upset. But they send it with the bike, and they know you need it, and everything's cool.
Yeah, and then the whole piece just pops off. So there's like this little nub on the stem to get it back on, and it just move the cables out of the way. It just like sits on there nicely, and you can bolt it back on. But we're going to install the computer mount. Came with the 3T branded K-Edge mount, so just gonna pop off.
And every one of these bikes ships with that, so.
Yeah, so it just, the little 3T logo piece, it just pops right out of there super easily. And then we can just throw the computer mount on. And it, like, again, love how this was thought out. Like, there's literally like a little rectangle there.
It's almost like it was designed for the bike.
Yeah, it's wild how that works. Handlebars. This bike came stock with 3T, I don't know how to say it. I'm gonna call it the 3T Super G handlebar. It's like super guy, I'm butchering it. But this is a 40 centimeter flared bar. I am not gonna use this one. 40 is just a little wider than what I like, and so I'm gonna switch to the Zip SL80 bar. Jesse rode this bar, he was stoked. I just get along really well with Zip, and also on my bars in general, I've always really liked having the flatter surface here. I've always jokingly called it like my shelf. I'll just like rest my palms on it while I'm riding. So we're just gonna switch to this bar.
This one looks cool though.
Yeah, the 3T bar, definitely lighter. I'm not gonna actually put these on a scale, but just from my muscles, I can tell that this one's lighter.
Yeah, those run into there, and then sweet.
Nice.
I'll leave those bolts out until we put the bike on the ground, because it's obviously we need to like rotate it, but or I guess I'll put them in for they don't.
You can like loosely put them in.
Yeah, we'll have to remember to do that.
Yeah, this bar's gonna be awesome. I like that
it matches the
yeah,
bike.
like the silver Zip logos match the silver on the bike really well.
We got a ceramic speed bottom bracket we're going to be putting into this bike. It is a BB 386 Evo, and it's a press fit standard. All the 3T bikes are 386 Evos. We recently started working with Ceramic Speed on a lot of stuff, and if you want us to upgrade your custom build or your existing bike with Ceramic Speed, definitely let us know. We can get all those parts ordered in for you, or we'll install them for you.
Beautiful. The bike is built. So this is the 3T Extrema Italia. Currently about an 8-week lead time. If you are interested in this frame or a complete bike, hit us up. Down below in the description, we'll link our custom builds. You can pick who from the bicycle station you want to chat with, and we can get quotes and get the build going for you. But
did the seat post work?
I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think it's gonna work at all. For those that are new to any video where I'm in it, I'm 5'3", not that tall. I'm wearing these like chunky boots right now too, so it gives me a little bit extra height. And in the boots, the seat feels a little too tall. Like, we lowered it as low as we can. My leg still feels a little too extended. I'm gonna go on, like, put on cycling shoes, go on a legit ride, but I am concerned and slightly sad that I think I'm gonna have to switch to a normal seat post. Not the end of the world. I've never had a dropper on a drop bar bike to begin with, so it's fine. It is what it is. Yeah, let's weigh this thing. How bad are my arms going to shake?
I think it weighs 21 pounds.
It feels like a 20-something pounder.
Yeah.
Like, it is for sure not under 20. Let's see if I can do this. What's it say?
Right at like 21.
Man, spot on. Look at you go.
Yeah.
Rad. I'm excited to ride this. Just like riding it around the alleys felt awesome. So
more content with this bike coming soon.
Yeah, stay tuned for the long-term ride review of the Extrema. Be getting it out a lot. I think this bike's gonna be awesome for the rougher gravel that we have here in Southern Indiana. So stay tuned. See ya.